Hello, I've had a lot of people ask me about doing a tour of my model collection, and I've done some in the past, but this will probably be the last one, and obviously because it has my latest models and whatnot in it. And so let me show you around. Oh, by the way, you're going to probably notice little breaks because I'm using my phone camera because it's got 4K and it looks better than my old traditional Nikon camera, which also had 4K on it. But when I shot some video yesterday of what I'm about to reshoot today, I just noticed that it was much softer and degraded. So that's why you notice cuts, because cameras only let you shoot for like 7 minutes or something like that. So I'll try to put little dissolves in the middle of it if I can, if I remember. And let's go. So I'll start from this side and we'll work our way across the display cases. It's funny because some people, friends of Annie's, and some housewives, I should say, not to sound too chauvinistic, asked her, how could you have this stuff in your living room, you know? And Annie said she likes it. Says it's different. It's better than cow pictures or cow paintings on the walls. So, you know, they'll poke at where we live here. So, but anyways, we'll start with the New York spinner. It's my own design. Obviously very spinnery. I mean, I didn't color outside the lines too much. It's a much larger version of a spinner. Just judging from the guy, I don't know, this thing's like a freaking limo. Because at 15 inches, which it is, 15, 16 inches, it'd be 1/12, but this thing is more like 1/16, or maybe 1/18 for that matter. I don't know. So it's big, but it's supposed to look heavy duty. I figured it'd be flying around, you know, Long Island prison, you know, like Escape from New York. So anyways, yeah, this is one of the first ones. It was a kit. It did okay as a kit. You know, some people liked it, but yeah, I really liked the design. It was originally a flying machine with wings, and I decided to take the body and a lot of the parts that I could, and I turned it into a traditional spinner, and that's it. Over here I have my Spindrift. This was an FDM print that I got a few years ago. People are saying that FDM plastic starts to fall apart and whatnot, or disintegrate. I've had this thing for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and it's still as fine as the day I made it, you know. That full interior and everything is probably a lot of, you know, there you go. Maybe not. You can't really do it with this camera. Let me at least rotate a little bit. You can see inside. Maybe the camera will allow you to, you know, check out at least the cockpit area. You know, so yeah, this is about 2-foot version. One of my favorites, actually. You know, so let's go down here. This is a Corbin Dallas gun that I did for Hollywood Collectibles Group. It's one of the first jobs I did for them. I did quite a few models for them and prop stuff. And I got the original prop from them and molded it and recast it and made them. I made these replica props. And so part of the deal was to get one for free, so they sent me that one. I would like to repaint it with a chrome paint though, to give it a more polished metal look for those silver parts. This is my Oblivion ship. Again, another kit that I used to make. Robert James, or I should say, I've been trying to talk Robert James into making a file of this. He did a great job on these drones that he made, Oblivion drones. So he said that, well, I made mine, so there's no point. And so I'm still trying to talk him into it. Hopefully he'll do it. Of course, the K spinner. Interesting story about this K spinner. When I started to do it, I put the word out there as I always do, and people help by sending me photos or whatever they can reference. And somebody contacted me who worked on the film. I don't know who it was. I don't remember his name. If I did, I probably still wouldn't say it. But he had this 15.5-inch fiberglass shell. It was originally 3D printed, and then they molded that 3D print and made these fiberglass bodies. It was solid, or not solid, but I mean everything was closed up. The windows weren't, you know, weren't cut through or anything. I had to do that on myself and put my own interior in, but it was there. I mean, I can't get much more accurate than that, right? So, and then of course the interior, and had to redo some of the parts. I had to redo from scratch, like the whole front section had to be redone because it was just too rough. You know, the seam lines and stuff were really rough. I had my buddy Carl Darby 3D print mainly the front section there, pretty much. You know, the inside spheres and the whole front section there. He did a great job. So down here we have, of course, the traditional spinner. You know, it's a pretty good seller. Still sells. As a matter of fact, I sold my last one today. So Matter of fact, I have to send him one of the pattern parts, the dashboard. No reason for me to keep the patterns. But I might mold it anyways in the last mold because I'm going to sell I think I'll try to sell the patterns. I'll put it up for sale and see if anybody wants them. They could build it as a kit. Okay, that's just a collectible back there, the Deckard gun that I got off of eBay. This little spinner here is actually out of the molds of the real spinners, the miniature spinners that they had that scale. And I've had this thing for decades. I got it from Boss Film, I believe. Boss Film did Blade Runner back when it was called Entertainment Effects Group. Then Richard Allen bought them out and called it Boss Film. So that base is also from the top there is also from the Tyrrell building. It's off of the angled buildings next or in front of the pyramid. I didn't realize again, decades I had this piece and I didn't know where it was from. One of the things in the movie business you find out is things get around to other shops and everything like that. People might grab a casting, throw it in the toolbox, maybe mold it if they need extra agreeable parts. And people don't care. I mean, today, who knows what they do? They might sue you for it. They're so stupid about this shit. But anyway, so, yeah. And, that's just a little Hallmark Collectible, sorry. And we got spinners everywhere, little spinners. That's the Quantum Mechanics Sid Mead version. Big Bang Collectibles, I hope he releases this soon. He did an awesome job of this. But a friend of mine also, George Waldron, also did an awesome version of this. And I have the files for this. And so it would be, you can get hold of George Waldron through Facebook. Look on my friends and you'll find him. And he's selling the file for this now. I think it's like $45 if I remember it. But it's big. It's a big file. So, like you have to blow it up to make it bigger and it won't look good. But no, this one's excellent. And this is, I think, the Bandai finished one or Konami. I can't remember who it was. But it was a finished one that I got on eBay. And it's probably the most accurate one I've seen as far as all the models that came out. Until Bandai came out with theirs, which are pretty darn accurate. And this is the Metro Cab. Not the freaking Johnny Cab. There's no little robot head. Turn on, hello, I'm Johnny Cab. Where can I take you today? Now, there's probably some big dude, sitting there up in the cockpit saying, where the hell you want to go? So, somebody hired me to build 2 of these for them. So I needed to make molds. And I told them, well, if I make molds, I'm going to try to sell a few. That didn't work out so well. And I made one, of course, for myself. I really like it. It's 1/12 scale and scale with everything else. And yeah, I just think it's kind of cool. I know it's boxy and everything like that, but there's a lot of them in the show. You see them running through the streets chasing Zora, and they're all over the place in there. I also made all these, the basis for all the Blade Runner cars with the Tyrrell, or shall we say the Frank Lloyd Wright tiles. It just kind of ties it all into collections. So okay, let's go to the next one. Let me stand up here if I can. My fat ass. Or at least on my knees. My 2002 Time Machine, or 2003. I remember I saw the real one over at, I was at San Diego Comic-Con. I said, that thing's insane. Anybody build one of those is insane. Lo and behold, a few months later, some guy named Bob Causey at the time, which ought to be a friend of mine, as time went on, had some guy in Hong Kong wanted a model of one of these. And it paid very good money. Kind of money you just don't see for doing props anymore. So I couldn't resist. So I made 4 of them. And this is the 5th one, actually. I'll explain that in a second. 4 of them. 1 for myself, of course. 1 for the client. And 1 for Bob Causey. And 1 for Greg Nicotero. Because Greg Nicotero had all of these photographs of the real one, detailed. And so, yeah, okay, sure. So I guess hopefully Greg still has this. I don't know. Of course, next Time Machine, the Back to the Future train. And we got ourselves a glare here from something, I don't know what. Windows, obviously, it's daytime. Back to the Future train's about 3 foot long, 1/25th scale, or 1/24th, one of the two. I released it as a kit for a limited time, and I didn't make that many. I take it back. I sold quite a few, but I stopped making it because it was just such a labor-intensive model to cast up. The molds are one thing, but the castings are another. Ugh. So I see the pictures leaning up against the model. That's not good. Yeah, so I made a limited amount. You can make it also in landed mode too, if you wanted to. But yeah, I really like that one. This is I believe it's the Elaine Rivard Mando N1. I'm not sure because somebody gave this model to me as a gift. That's the light there. Hello, light. As a gift. And I don't remember his name. If I did, I probably wouldn't say it because Alain Rivard might get mad if he knew that somebody gave me one of his models, or his file. I mean, I didn't get the file. I didn't print this. Somebody else did. I didn't have a printer at the time. But whoever gave it to me, thank you very much. You know, Spruverse, Phil Siegel, a friend of mine, he printed this for me as a gift, and I can't thank him enough for that. And he knew I wanted one, and decided to did one. So we got kind of a deal going now, where because he's printed out some of these models, and it costs money to print this stuff out. But any model that I make new ones, he gets, I give him the file for it, even the ones I'm selling. So right now I'm doing the Deckard car from Blade Runner, and he's getting that file as soon as I get it all taken care of. Having to do some. I always have to fix my files when I make my own kits. I'm okay at it, but I'm not great. So, anyways, yeah. Here's over here the Trieste. I put a little light on it there. This is the French, the first submersible to dive the Marianas Trench, called the Deepwater Challenge, back in the 1950s, I believe, late 50s. I can't remember the guys who were in it, except Picard was one of them, the French guy. I can't remember the American's name. I feel a little embarrassed about that. I don't remember his name. But this is one of my first 3D print builds, you know, using 3D Builder. A friend of mine, Robert James, he turned me on to 3D Builder because it's a bit rudimentary, you know, to do. It's easier file to use than some of the other art files out there, which he's right, because I can't learn those things to save my life. But I end up having to do a lot of extra work to this. I usually do a lot of, you know, reference to it, and I noticed the detail was very simple on it, and some of it not the right proportions. So I went through the entire model from stem to bow to stem, or bow to stern, whatever you want to call it, and re-detailed the entire thing, rebuilt everything using 3D Builder, and this is the result. Yeah, from the top to the bowl. So everything's been redone, and yeah, I'm really happy to have this. You know, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to have a model one of these, and what's nice is you can, you know, with 3D printing files, you can have whatever you want now, because I think almost everything is out there. Everything but the Hannibal 8 from The Great Race. That's a nudge, nudge, hint, hint, somebody make one. I guess I could make one, but, you know, somebody else will. Makes it easier since I'm retired now. Okay, yeah. This is my take on the Mean Machine from Wacky Races, a 60s cartoon show. I decided to bring it into the real world, so this is my take on bringing it to the real world. I just finished this one, literally, a couple of days ago. So I decided if I'm going to bring reality into it, some of the design that should be is like, it's got this great big heavy nuclear engine, or whatever engine you want to make it out of, on the back. So it shouldn't have just one set of wheels. It should have two, to, you know, because of the weight. And it didn't need anything too much up front, although you got that big nose piece. It's interesting because the lights here on the nose piece is lighting up that cone and make it look like it glows, you know, like it's glowing red from the middle. And, you know, so that's kind of cool. And of course, people, the pictures, sorry, I've got to move my hand here, holding this phone like this. People have been asking, where's Muttley? Where's Muttley? Because I put up some pictures of this recently. Come on, Blake, get out of the way. And there's Muttley. He's sitting behind the seat. I decided to make this sort of like a fighter jet where one sits in front of the other instead of side-by-side seating. It just worked for its design and shape. So yeah, and a friend of mine, I think it was Mary Gansky, sorry Mary if I mispronounce your last name, suggested this to me, a purple, metallic purple, and oh, he was right. It was awesome. Perfect color for that, because the car was purple. Down here you have Clouseau's sub. This was also an early print. I learned how I ended up making the crane from scratch using 3D Builder. A lot of the interior parts as well. The main hull I got from Voodoo Effects, you know, and he sells the hull files for this. But I sell the interior files and the deck and everything, the crane, and not the entire deck, but, you know, like the crane. Not Jacques Cousteau. I got that. I had to pay for that. Somebody sells that, so I'm not about to sell that. Sell it underneath somebody else who did it. But I end up doing all the details, like in the back there and everything like that, you know. But yeah, there's a full interior in it. I mean, not super duper detailed because there was tons of pipes and hoses and things inside. But I think I captured it pretty well, you know, its design and its history. Another thing that I've always wanted my whole life, this model, and I finally got it. And another one I wanted since the movie came out was flatbed. You know, so I have a lot of submersibles. You can see I'm very much into submersibles and underwater stuff. You know, I was really much into Jacques Cousteau when I was a kid. And looking at a lot of books of underwater stuff, oceanography, from sharks to dolphins to, you know, whale sharks, you name it. So back to the show. Yeah, this is also a recent one I finished. This one here, a friend of mine, Raul Kills, Quiles Jr. He sells this as a kit. He and I work together to get it as accurate as possibly can. So he did an awesome job with this model. I made the interior for it, but I think he might have redid the interior so it'd be easier, because my files, when you do 3D Builder and you start detailing it up, it tends to make the files bigger and bigger and bigger, and they get a little hard to work with. And so what he did is he transferred and made them so it's easier to build, because he used to build models patterns through computers. I also redid the down here in the conning tower and put some little tools and a little rope there. The rope maybe Bud would have used to tie Big Geek to. Yeah, it was fun. I put out the word I was looking for. I wanted to put somebody inside, obviously, and I wanted it to be midnight. And because how many models have you seen? Well, you hardly see any submersibles. How many have you seen with a black woman cowboy? You don't. So that's what made her great. I just thought it'd been really interesting to see that character in there. And I gave her a bit of a bod, and just because I think the actress, if she was to ever see this, she probably wouldn't like it. The first body I had was a little chunky, and I thought she'd be more appreciative if I put a little bit more gave her more of a figure. Even has a little coffee cup right there, you can probably see, hanging in there like she did. And she has her shoes off. She's in her stockings, her shoes laying at the bottom of the dome. It's going to be hard to see that because of the reflection and all that. Yeah, let's try this. Let me try. Nope, not going to work, sorry. But she's kind of in her stockings a lot when she's in the movie, so I put her tennis shoes at the bottom of the dome. Now, maybe if I do it slowly, you'll see the tennis shoes down there. And the little diver, it's kind of a kit bash. I found a diver and I modified it. A friend of mine, Carl, he made the base helmet for me, because it's just, you can't do these kind of organics with 3D Builder. You just can't. And then I put all the rest of the stuff on top of the helmet. Everything else I was able to make on 3D Builder, from the weights and, the whole backpack, was made 3D Builder. As well as this wellhead. It was pretty simple actually doing 3D Builder, because it's all like primitives. So I wanted to give it a little bit of a story. And even though it's not a cut out of the film, because it's a wellhead and not deep core, I thought, at least you get the idea what it's about, And then this neat little base here with a little abyss symbol there. Over here you have an abyss diver, and what I decided to do with this, which is the same diver as that, just a larger version, and with a Big Geek there, flying with Big Geek. Let me do this there. We don't need this right now. Sorry. But I decided, a friend of mine scanned my head at Wonderfest last year. And I wasn't feeling so hot when he did it, so I have this look on my face. But I thought I'll put my head in there. I mean, it's in a helmet. Who's going to know? But now I put a light on my face now, And I thought it might be kind of neat just to do that, I'm sure one of us would have thought when we were younger, I'd like to have been a diver in that movie or something like that. That'd be cool. So Big Geek was also done all in 3D Builder as well, printed out. And of course, use a lot of the Sprig Gunner chromes. Actually, I use Sprig Gunner chrome on everything. I find it to be the best kind of chrome paint out there. Still the same procedure. You put a high gloss surface and you put the chrome. But the best thing about this chrome is the more you put on, the chromer it gets. Like Alclad, you put too much on, it dulls it out. You don't put enough on, it's too dark. And it wears off. I've used Alclads like the golds and stuff, and then a year or so later, it's black again. It's like it faded away. I never seen anything like it. And the chrome's the same way. You can't touch it. This stuff you can handle and do everything you want. And plus you can clear coat it. You can make golds. You can clear coat it with amber. Use like acrylic, spray gun or high gloss acrylic clear, and then you can add pigments to it to give it different colors. Like that's what I did with the Abyss logo for one. That's chromed, and then I used a blue and just kind of made it a little darker at the bottom, so like the Abyss other. And I was actually able to do that. This speeder here, this is my favorite speeder in the Star Wars universe. It really is. Not the Luke speeder. Luke speeder's okay, but you can see that the same company who did the Luke speeder did this. And this is in Book of Boba Fett, which everybody hates for some reason, that show. But I don't know. When I saw this in the show, I said, that's like my dad's 60s Cadillac. Some people compare it with a GTO, which I can see that too. But I'm going to compare it to my dad's Cadillac that he had because it's my dad, and he liked Cadillacs, and have a little bit of a tribute to him. So, but yeah, since I really liked this, I did this whole thing in 3D building, and it went pretty well. The only file I had that I did use a little bit was this originally was done out of from Solo, the book speeders, as I call it, and I think others do too. At the beginning, the one he took at the beginning, it looked like a flying book. And because they used that one for this. Somebody told me about that when I was building this. And so I looked for a book speeder, and I found a pretty nice file there. So what was used off of that was mainly not even the seats, and not even the control. I mean, it had a control console, but I ended up having to do one from scratch. It was mainly just these little back area right here, the headrests, which actually I ended up redoing those too. These little boxes here, but come to think of it, I don't remember using a whole lot from that speeder now that I look at it, but this is the speeder. They did use that speeder and added all the extra stuff to it, to change it, save some money. So, yeah, this is my favorite speeder. Oh, yeah, and the infamous hated mod bikes. They call them mod, as in modified, for the movie, but we know mod from the 60s. And a lot of people hated these characters, but I liked them because basically these characters, a lot of people may know this or may not know this and not care. But when I saw those, first thing came to my mind, Quadrophenia. Quadrophenia was a movie done from the Who's rock operas, they called them back then. And they drove around these Vespas, which they customized over in the UK. And my thoughts about this in Book of Boba Fett is why they have these colorful things in that, in this movie. It's ridiculous. And the slowest car chase in the world. Yeah, the car chase was slow, but so what? That's life, get a helmet. But I looked at it as, okay, you live in a Tatooine. There's only two kinds of colors in Tatooine, tan and dark tan. Let's face it. Even there's cars and ships. So these kids would want to add a little color to their life, let's say, for a better life. So, they put modifications, kids put tattoos on. They would get new eye implants and stuff like that, and then have these bikes that they'd customize and drive around because they want to have some color. It's pretty dull in Tatooine for young people. So that's my theory about these bikes. Eventually, I'd like to do all four of them because they are all the same, just a little bit different front dressing on it. A couple of little doodads underneath that are a little different, but not much. So, yeah. So I decided to add that little guy there just for the hell of it, to either enhance the display or to piss some people off who hate that thing. So, okay, now down here is some Star Wars stuff, the last of the display stuff. My 26-inch blockade runner is at 27 inches now. I can't remember. Yes, I rebuilt this thing from my old kit that I made. Totally rebuilt everything from the front to the back. Everything has been redone on this thing. Scratch, more accurate. The only thing I missed on mine is I think the round engines on the back should stick out a little farther, maybe about an inch. Some pictures it looks just like that when they're working on the 6-foot model. It looks just like that, but then other pictures it doesn't look like that. I don't know if they might have even modified, the 6-foot model when they did those engines, but anyways, yeah. So, and I put on a Death Star base, which is kind of traditional. All my Star Wars models, for the most part, have Death Star bases on it. Or most of them, I should say. It's fine to say that, and I got 2 other Star Wars models in here that don't have them. But that one does, anyways. And so we'll go with Star Wars until we get to the last one. And then, of course, the Radiant gunship. Let me throw some light on this thing here so you can see it a little better. Why did I put this thing away? There you go. I did this originally as a Radiant. It was all red, no guns and stuff on it, from Phantom Menace. And it sold okay. It was like one of the third models I did when I first got into this whole thing back in 2005. So I ended up taking the patterns I've had and redoing them a little bit, adding some extra details, and turning it into the gunship version, which is Clone Wars showed. And I said, that's pretty cool what they did in the Clone Wars version. And yeah, so I ended up doing that, and it sold okay too, not great. Then I had my Ahsoka Ghost. I've done 2 of these ghosts actually. The first one was kind of based more on the animated version, but actually more like the Rogue One version because they had detail edges like this on mine as well. The other one, but I call it the chubby version. Or what they did in Ahsoka is they really slicked it down. And for me, I like it better than a narcissist. Sorry, alien lovers. But I think what they've done with it and how they've detailed it and slicked it down, is awesome. Besides, it has more screen time now than the Narcissist. So there, eat some cabbage. So, but no, and actually, this of all the kits that I made, and it sold pretty well. I've seen more buildups of this model than any of my other models that I've done. More than the block, and the most popular ones, the biggest sale ones, were the Star Destroyer and the Blockade Runner here. Those are the two main ones that sold the most towards the end. And this one here did fairly well, but of all those models, this is the one that I've seen buildups of the most. And so that makes me happy to know that. And and then the last model, I'm sitting on my ass right now, is of course the Mars Hopper MLEV, as it's called. This was a scratch. Originally, it started off as a scratch build I did way back in like 96, 97, maybe later than that. But I built this thing 3 times. I did a real tiny one, then I did a medium one, and all of them were hamster balls, just big hamster balls. The reason why it's the indentation's there, because that's where you take the lid off. I just took the lid and inverted it and stuck it on there. But what I did is I took the hamster ball apart. It's about 14-inch hamster ball, and then vacuum formed over the hamster ball to get all the different plates and things on it, and then different layers, a bunch of layers of vacuum forms, and glued them on there. And that's its story of where it started. But then Pegasus Hobbies wanted to build a model of it. I wish I could remember the name of the guy who I worked with on that. Willis, Scott Willis, I believe. Yeah. Unfortunately, we had a falling out. Well, it's sad. But I don't even know I'm mentioning that. Sorry. But no, they did a great job. I was quite surprised when I got the kit because it has every detail that mine had on it. And he wanted to make it the same size. You could probably get away with doing this as like a 10-inch version or 12-inch. He said, no, he wants it to be the same size. So every detail is captured. So when I got the kit, I decided to make a little upgrade kit for it because the doors didn't open. So I make a kit, and actually I just sold this set recently, the last ones I sent. The doors can slide open. Some extra details here and there, like bags and things like that. Inside the room, you got the spacesuits in the closet. Didn't come with spacesuits in the closet. Some extra decals, and these boxes underneath here was another add-on. Different engine bells. The engine bells you can see have like all the padding and stuff like NASA would have on them, with hoses running around it, like padded hoses. That was something else I added. So this did fairly well for me. The royalties. I don't know. It was okay. It was okay. I mean, I shouldn't complain. I really shouldn't. But I haven't seen any for a while. Did they stop selling it? I don't know. But that's the last model I'm going to show from this. And hope you enjoyed looking at the bedroom. We're going into the bedroom, the man cave. But I hope you enjoyed seeing these living room models up close and personal. Okay, talk to you later. Hello and welcome to the man cave. It's kind of a small room, but I'm able to fit everything in here. We'll start and work our way clockwise. Okay, first we have my, so I got a little light I'm bringing with me because it's dark in this room. This is my Rocinante. Robert James made this model. It was one of his first ones, so it was very clean. It didn't have a lot of detail on it. So I went ahead and re-detailed it. I had a friend of mine do a laser cut scribe of bricks, and I molded it and cast them, sheets of it, and then cut it up to make sure that the orientation was the same that was on the ship. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work. A lot of people like to call it the Lego ship, because of the brickwork, but I know what they're doing. They're trying to do like the space shuttle, kind of the brick tile and whatnot. So, this is the base for it. Pretty much everything, all the details had to be built because it didn't really have any detail on it. I like these boxes, and I had a friend of mine who, before I learned how to do some 3D printing, 3D builder work, had him do some of these panels for me because it didn't really have any detail. So he did these side panels here that you're seeing, as well as this engine here. Let's see if I can get around to show you. Let me put this down for a second. Yeah, there's Mr. Finger giving you the finger there. Yeah, he did a really good job on the detail on the engine. So, okay, so next here we have my Zorg shuttle from Fifth Element. I like this model, but I don't like the paint job. I mean, the paint job is fine. It's weathered and everything, but it's all silver. There's no like lines on it or stripes or whatever. Just something to give it something, because it's such a smooth model. And so I might try to do with this still is I've got the spray gunner chrome. I'm going to probably mask off some panels and then do sort of a chrome transition from one scribe line to another to give it maybe more of a metal look. Actually, this one's painted better than the studio one, from what I understand. So, yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful model. Bobovich Design. Hopefully I said your name right. Sorry if I didn't. Yeah, this is his model. This one's about 3 foot long almost. So over here also you have, let me get this light out of your way. Let's just get it out of the way. Turn it off. This is the oldest model of my collection. This is the, it used to be called the construction ship. It's now called the Aerospace Freightliners, Home Depot. My wife works at Home Depot. And when I painted it orange and white, because it used to be just sort of this yellowish, dirty yellow, I decided to go with an orange and white. That was the year of orange. Like my Spindrift is orange, and I did this shortly after I did my Spindrift, so I guess I was into orange for a while. But I thought, what can I call it with orange and white? And I thought, hey, well, let's make it a Home Depot ship. So I ended up, when I redid this model, because I built this in 1979, when my daughter was born, my first daughter, it used incandescent lights. So most of the lights didn't work anymore and whatnot. So I ended up tearing it apart, the whole top off and the whole front nose off, and rebuilding it from scratch, and redetailing it and whatnot, and putting all LEDs. Matter of fact, the big light there, the engine light, used to be an old car bulb in there, and that, of course, burnt out through time, as well as the lights you see on the side walls there. Those are also car bulbs that I had in there. This thing originally had like that big box there was wood, and then plexiglass for the body back in the day. Sorry about the reflection. Down here we have our Battlestar stuff, Battlestar Galactica. Those are a couple of collectibles right there. I got that over at Wonderfest last year, I think. It's a nice little 3D print model that somebody did. Actually, I was quite surprised by how nice it is, and the detail on it's really nice. Someday I'll paint it, but I got a 30-inch one I want to build that I got from Dynamic Creations, I believe. It's in South Africa. So they 30-inch one that they did was really pretty nice. It's like a resin kit like mine. So it takes a little bit of tweaking, but boiling water is our friend with that model, I'll say that. So yeah, I got the Cylon ship. That's from TJ Graphics when they used to be around. One of the first ones. I have a couple of them from there. I'll show you the other one here in a second. No, I'll just go ahead and show you now. Classic Cylon, that's fine. Classic Viper. Boy, I'm on batting 100 today. Here we go. Get you more light there. I got this also from Wonderfest about 12, 13 years ago. My wife and I went and I found a resin kit of it. It's so nice I had to have it. So it's a 1/24 scale, studio scale. Then I had some of that little round thing was a coasters that I found. So I ended up molding up the medallion and using it throughout all the Galactica stuff. And this here was originally with my classic Galactica that I sold. We needed a new car. Somebody offered me really good money. It was enough to buy a new car with it. So I sold my Galactica to get the new car, which my wife just drives around now. She never had a new car before. Let's not get off on a tangent. Oh yeah, here's those coasters I was telling you about. So this is also TJ Graphics one, Cylon, but the paint job is a much more chromish. As you can, let me get that light off it because I think the light's flat, So if I would have had the spray gun or chromes, I'd have made it chrome and then weathered it down. But this paint is pretty good. It looks pretty good. It looks like the one in the show. Of course, you got your classic Cylon, which this is a finished one that you could buy if they sold for a while. And so I just weathered it down a bit and stuck it on the shelf. I still have a Cylon model downstairs, a kit. And someday I'll build it, maybe. This one here is the Razor version. I forgot somebody makes a file of this, and I really want to get it, make it a little bit larger version. I can see the window fell off. You can tell I'm an old guy because he had a collection of models and props and stuff. Not many props, but there'll be parts sitting down inside the case. I remember I went to Forey Ackerman's house and it was the same way. He had a lot of stuff, but a lot of stuff broken off, and he had to just sit next to it. Now I know what that's about. The Evolution, I just bought these. Evolution of the Cylon. I was almost thinking of chroming these as well, except her, she doesn't need to be chromed, And so, like I said, that was a collection. This was from Frank Cerny, a friend of mine I got. It's also 1/24 scale Viper. A long time ago, I built that back in California. long ass time ago, as well as this Mark 7, I think they call them. Sorry, I just don't keep up with the names. I'm terrible on names. I got a little fixing up to do with this. The little, at the end of the wing cell, the little things are broken off there. So I need to make some new ones of those. Make them out of metal this time, you know. So these are just some anime collections here that I have. Except this, the Tiger Moth, of course, broken propeller, old man. Gotta have a broken model on shelf. I scratch built this back in like 1997. A Tiger Moth from Lapida, or Castle in the Sky, American name. And it came up pretty nice. Vacuum form for the main balloon section. You know, made it out of foam, vacuum formed over foam, carved it out. Excuse me. Some Starship Trooper stuff. I worked on the movie Starship Troopers, so these two models, what I did is they wanted me to do some VIP models. So what I did is I had the actual model sitting right there behind me, like the Roger Young here. I had the 18-foot Roger Young sitting right behind my desk, you know, parked there on a rolly stand. And so all I had to do was turn around and look at it to detail it, because these 19-inch models that they built for the film didn't have a lot of detail on them, you know. So they were a long-distance shot when you see the whole fleet in the background after they just got rescued from the big bug thing. So bug invasion, I guess you call it, whatever you want to call it. So anyways, sorry, the light's doing weird shit. So I ended up making this for myself, and I kind of didn't like the gap in between there, so I added that box. And they did have ones with like boxes like that, you know. This TAC fighter, you know, they had about a 4-foot version, and so I made this. I don't know, it's probably like 15, 20-inch wide wingspan version I did, and I lent this to somebody, and it took years to get it back. But when I got it back, the window was missing. I did since make a new vacuum form bucket to make that window, and I think I even vacuum formed the window somewhere. I don't know, it's downstairs somewhere. I just got to put it on, put some stripping on it for the window frames. But originally they were going to have it silver like this. I don't know if you can tell that it is silver. You know, I'll move the camera on, maybe you can see. It's just a very dull silver, duller than what it was when I first started. And they were going to do this for the studio model too, but it was the blue screening that stopped them from doing it. So, you know, the reflection and everything. So I decided just to paint it gray, you know. And down here are just more collection stuff. My Total Recall car, I got that from Hollywood Collectibles Group. I did quite a few things for Hollywood Collectibles Group during the time. Then just some toys, you know, the owl ship. Okay, let's go to the center now. I might have to start at the top with the Star Destroyer. I might have to turn that light off because it's probably going to go silhouette. But I do have this light. Yeah, this is my 43-inch Star Destroyer kit. Oh, we got a light out there. Those lights are acting up, I notice. I don't know why. I'm going to have to pop those off and maybe replace them. Obviously, I have to replace them. One is out and the other ones are kind of twitching, you know. I mean, there is a flutter to the main engines, but the small ones aren't supposed to have that flutter. So they got their own flutter now. Anyway, sorry. So, yeah, let's get some edge lighting. Just so you can see it. I know a lot of people have already seen this pictures and a lot of build-ups of it, you know. This I didn't use fiber optics. Here, there you go. You can see it. I did the clear pieces, like on the head. Now the edge detail were clear and painted them black, and also opaqued them with paint. And then painted the whole thing like I should, and then took a little drill and turned the lights on to start drilling holes, you know. And I also drilled holes where if there was a light leak, which there is light leaks, you can't help because the detail's so deep. Well, I just drilled a hole there, you know, and so it looked like the light from the window was lighting that area where the light leak was, you know. So, yeah. This is also a homage to the other ones because there's the little hammerhead Corvette that I got. There's also, you know, Princess Leia's ship. Looks like I'm not going to be able to bounce it. Let's just look up into it then if I can't. Try to hold my camera up in here. Of course, Princess Leia's ship, blockade runner. And on the back of the head, yeah, there's a little tiny falcon there. So, there you are. There's your little falcon. So, yeah. So this is sort of a Star Destroyer homage to all the Falcons, you know. Ooh, boy, it's bright. Sorry. And over here, this is probably, not to sound down, this is probably my greatest failure of a kit. I sold one. I guess people didn't really like the model like I thought they would, because this is based on an old design I did for a friend of mine called Frank Capello, who was learning in visual effects during the time. So I built a really small version of this so he just built his own animation stand. Animation stand, or, what do you call it? Computer controlled. My mind's blank. I'm getting old. Motion control stand. I'm sorry. Get it out there, Randy. And so this is sort of, I've always kind of liked this old design, so I built a larger version. I probably should have made the end wings there bigger, and there's no law says I can't still do that, But it is a neat looking ship, I thought. The engine's a little different on the original one, but I decided to go with the sort of the T-shaped engine, thin stripped engines on the back. Okay, this is a thing I worked with Hollywood Collectibles, not Sideshow. I'm sorry. And this, these are up high, so my arm's getting tired. This is one of the Hollywood Collectibles hunter killers, about 20 inches long. I just recently gave a new paint job because the old paint job had actually faded and it was dull. These are really dull silver on it, anyways. So I tried this really high silver. That's not a chrome, this is just right out of the rattle can, but it does have a really nice sheen. It's more like the one from Terminator 1, because they painted those, and then Terminator 2 they actually chromed them. But had I known about the spray gunner chrome, when he did this, I would have definitely done it with spray gunner chrome. And there's no law that says that I can't still do it. So, all right, next we have the Acme Models derelict ship, based on the first film and of Alien. And yeah, it's a beautiful model. They did a terrific job on this model. They had two different sizes that they made, and I decided to go with the larger one, of course. I think this is like 19 or 20 inches long, this model. It had a small base, so I expanded the base to this and used some of that, that house trim. And this house trim, I think, works perfect for the design of this this particular model. So, yeah, it's a wonderful job they did to this. Wonderful job. Okay, we go back down to Star Wars. My Hasbro vinyl Falcon, Make quite a bit of money with this, selling, upgrade parts like these details. The edge details and whatnot that I sold, landing gear and bays. 308 bits on Shapeways when they were around. Used to sell the guns and everything. So I think even, oh wow, I got a chip there. How about that? That's vinyl. How does it chip vinyl? Squirrel moment. But yeah, 308 bits. I think I spent quite a bit of money on just accessories that they made, like the guns, the radar dish, the cockpit, the entire cockpit, the interior as well. Although it's hard to say, they're very dirty. Windows there. Yeah, I like putting windows in things. I don't like to have open. I'm not that much of a perfectionist on, they can't have windows because the miniature didn't have windows. No, it's a spaceship model. It needs windows. I'm sorry. It's just the way I think about it. So yeah, this is my version of it. And the Hasbro Falcon, a lot of people know this probably, this particular version, the top and bottom and even the edges were perfect for just some plastic toy with stickers around the edges, but it was perfect. I just couldn't believe it when I bought it from Walmart. Kmart's not around anymore. And then ended up start redoing everything around it. And other people liked it and was asking me, since I built kits, if I was going to sell the edge detail. And I said, sure, why not? So I made the edge detail, a ramp, and bays, landing gear bays. Not the landing gear itself, because 308 bits made those already. I don't want to encroach on his stuff. I talked to him from time to time. And of course, adding extra details here and there. And it came out all right. Bit of a pain though, since it's made out of that vinyl. I found out the best way to glue the thing back together. Anyways, was hot melt glue, of all things. So anyways, this is of course not the blockade runner, but the Han Solo version of they just call it the pirate ship then. I don't think they call it the Falcon. So yeah, so it's got kind of the original dish. I changed it a little bit. The Falcon head, which they popped off to put on the hamburger later on, as Lucas call it. These type of lifeboats instead of being turrets. That's what they were, was escape pods. And what I did for the window here and put a gun there was I mimicked the one that Ralph McQuarrie did in his painting of this particular ship when they were going to use it. And I had a friend of mine 3D print, Carl. Carl printed a lot of stuff for me before I started learning stuff. And from time to time, if I can't do something, he still helps me out. Well, thank you, Carl. You know, big thank yous for a couple of friends of mine. And Carl's one of them. Dave Lowe is another one because he had laser cutting machines and, CNC machines and electronics as well. And Randy Newbert for lighting. He got me into it and taught me how to do lighting on models. So a big thank you to Randy Newbert at Voodoo Effects, And anyway, sorry. Yeah, so this is the, it's had to make some thank yous there. It's only appropriate that I thank the people that helped me and all the others that have helped, me get reference when I needed it. They've always been very generous that way. Okay, back to the show. This is the Curling Corvette. I've got this on a wide angle lens, so things just seem stretched. If I didn't have this on a wide angle lens, it'd be hard to show you everything. It'd be out of frame, and I don't shoot tall vision with my phone camera. So yeah, there's a Curling Corvette. I've done a couple of iterations of this model, a blue version with no guns, and then this gunship version. And these sold okay, I remember I was working on a Christmas movie that got canceled in Salt Lake City at the time when I built this. So my own take on one of the early blockade runner designs. So, and then here we have this. Get into a couple tanks here. This is my 38-hour tank. That's what I call it. So can make sure. I call it the 38-hour tank because I built it in 38 hours, not in a row, of course. But I just decided sometimes I like to do to see if I still got it to say. I like to try to just without no drawings. That's my thing. No sketches. Just make up something on the fly. So you grab a bunch of parts and just throw something together. And this, get around this annoying poster. And this is the what I came up with. So the main body were these plastic inserts that you might want to hold that you get when you buy, like, say, doorknobs and stuff like that. They have that little vacuum form thing that they put them in. This isn't from doorknob, but it was like that, and I thought it was a neat shape, so I poured resin into them to get these shapes out. A lot of parts like these are from my Mars Hopper. These boxes, Sandcrawler treads. Turned upside down. It's funny because somebody told me that these treads would not work this way. Sign just would not work. So I sent him a picture of those treads you can put on your pickup trucks, and they're the same orientation. It's a triangle shape, and the widest part is down. I didn't hear anything back. So, and this is the Bison tank kit that I made. It didn't really sell that well either. I could tell things were starting to disappear because this is towards the end of my kit making. So I might have sold just a small handful of it. The amount of work that went into it didn't really, sorry, I had to readjust this. The amount of time that went into it didn't pay for itself, but then I wanted one for myself anyways. So I take that into effect too. So, and there's the bay inside. I'll try to show you a little bit of the bay in there. There's two ways you can look at it, both the three ways, left or right side, or also in the front, which I cannot get my camera in there to show you. It won't fit, but I'll try. Yeah, just another angle. Yeah, another angle inside, So, yeah, and plenty of lights in the front. I wanted to have a lot of lights shining in front when it comes at you, Just made sense. It also has a galley up at the top here, though. It's hard to see in there, but it's got a little table and looks like a kitchenette of some kind. I also modeled this after a PT boat, where it has the two guns off to the side like this, and the bridge section up towards the front. Now, the bridge you really can't see because of the way the windows are. But there's a whole interior in there with chairs and everything and control panels. So next, we go over to the cartoon version from Fantastic Voyage. This one was a 16-inch model that I built as a one-off a long time ago, and then, good Lord, I forgot the name of this company in California. They're the first ones to do vacuum form models and resin models. And I had a lot of their models because the only way you could get Jupiter 2s and stuff like that. But for the life of me, I cannot remember the name right in this minute. But yeah, anyways, I decided to build this, and they bought it from me to make into a kit. So I took it apart. And then after they went out of business, they sent me the pieces back, So I decided to take those pieces and make my own kit. And I realized when I was redoing this kit, that the front end, it was shaped like Gumby's head. It was so out of proportion and everything like that. So I had to do a lot of straightening out on the kit. Because, this is a one-off, and it was made back in '90s, in the late 1990s. So yeah, this is my own version of it. And when I did this originally, I decided not to make it like the kit version, because the kit version, you know, well, just kit version. I took a lot of pictures that I found, you know, cartoon out, and looked at, you know, various angles and shots of the thing, and picked the ones that I thought looked the best. So it makes it a little wider than, say, the model kit that did come out, you know, the regular licensed kit, and mine. So it's got a little flatter, sporty look to it, I guess you could say. And plus, it's got like a full interior that goes all the way back. You go through the doorways, and there's a whole nother little interior way back in there. Well, you're probably not going to be able to see it in here with this camera. Then we have my, my Proteus, which a lot of people have seen. I mean, all of you have seen these already, but just doing the tour. You know, the only thing I regret about this Proteus is I didn't put a light way in the back. See, it's too dark back there, so you can't see the detail. I mean, there's gauges back there that are on. You know, you can kind of see them as I move the camera. But I should have put a light there. And someday, I have to be awfully brave to do it, I need to put a light down in there. Obviously, I'd tap into the dome lights and then run just a little light, you know, right there. You know, try to feed it in there and glue it to the ceiling where you can't see it to have it shine in there. So that's the only regret of this. Can't really see because this camera, that's weird. I don't know how to stop it down. You know, I'm sure there's settings for that, but this base, which is just blowing up the lens here. It's you can't see, it's got a whole pattern on it and everything like that, you know. But anyways, I tried to give this a really shiny paint job, you know, like a car. You know, you can see it's got a real, because, you know, it's brand new. It's sitting on the base ready. It's probably on its first mission. I don't know. But yep, that's my Proteus. And this is the kit. You know, I did do some upgrade kits like opening hatches. That I actually made good money on that. Sold quite a few of them, as well as, you know, like the rubber trim around the windows there. Matter of fact, excuse me, the top windows didn't have rounded edges like they should have, so I made rounded edges with the, you know, with the rubber trim and stuff like that as well. And then I just bounded to give them a little bit of rounded edges in there like they should be, you know. So, but no, people like that. Then down here we have my model of the Galileo. A lot of people will probably know the story about this. Now, I did this a long time ago before Round 2 did, and they're basically the same size, which surprised me. It did pretty well, actually. People really liked it. I did a second one not too long ago, and kind of redetailed it, accurized it a little more, made it a little nicer, made the window frames a little better. And then Round 2 came out with theirs, and people are up in arms, which is understandable, that didn't have an interior with it. So people started asking me if my interior fit in it, and I didn't really think about it. I was like, it might, let me check. And lo and behold, I just had to shrink them down a little bit took the patterns, molded them in xylene and silicone. You take silicone and xylene mixed together, and it'll make the mold shrink, depending on how much xylene you put. And I happened to nail it on the first time. So I made it fit, and people bought my interior to put in theirs. And so I get an email from Round 2 saying that cease and desist not to be making any interior kits for this. And I said, well, you didn't release an interior kit for yours. And they said they're going to, but it's going to be a year and a half. And I said, well, people don't want to wait a year and a half to have to rebuy the model again with the interior, you know, but they didn't care. Who do, you know. So anyways, I said, okay, fine. I didn't make an interior kit anymore. But I decided to release an accessories kit for the model. I'll just say that, you know. So, but anyways, yeah. This year, of course, the Flying Sub, the Mobius one. I had third models do this build-up. I usually don't hire people to do my build-ups, but I really love this design. But I just could not find the time, and I didn't think I could do it right. And I know Third Models is the best at doing that. So I worked out a deal where he wanted one of those silvergraphs, so I gave him one for free and sent him my model, and he did a really great job on this, you know, interior lights and everything, blinky lights. So I am very pleased with what he did, you know. Now next to this Flying Sub is another Flying Sub. Well, it is now. It wasn't supposed to be a Flying Sub, but since it's yellow, everybody assumed that it was a sub, so I said, okay, it's a sub. And it's called the Dragonfly. A friend of mine named it for me. And I just couldn't come up with a name. He said Dragonfly. I said, perfect. So I named it the Dragonfly. So just one of my own designs that I did. Kind of whipped it up pretty quickly. Probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. Vacuum form bucks that I made. And then, yeah, detailed it up a bit. Some chairs. So I can get put some light in the interior there. There you go. Kind of hack lighting, sorry, but you know, get an interior and everything. So yeah, and then the Seeker from Space Academy. A friend of mine, Carl Darby, he made this kit, and I think George Waldron sells this kit if I remember right. Sorry, let me push this over a little bit. So I built one for myself a long time ago when the show came out back in the day. Back when I was a kid. I was 18. Yeah, kid. So when I got this from my buddy Carl, he offered it to me. I couldn't resist. I made an interior for it with all the chairs, although you really can't see through this terrible window I did, but it's got the full interior back there with chairs and everything. And I decided to do a little bit of me in there, what I call it, by putting some lights up there with a grill, and then putting like a little light ring around the docking bay. It could be a docking bay right there. I don't know. It's probably too small for a docking bay now I think about it. But just something with a light around it. And the engines give a little color with some blue and some red, And I had this honeycomb pattern here that I molded and casted up, just to give a little detail back there, because it was just a solid thing. But it was for TV. Back then you really couldn't see a lot of TV. Now we get to the Ranger from Interstellar. This was like one of my first 3D printed models that I got. Somebody printed for me. Robert Vansel did it. It was from a file he got online somewhere. It's still out there, but it needed a lot of work. I mean, yeah, somebody made it, and I'm grateful that they made it. But the proportions were kind of off. The front end was about 1.5 inches too short. The body was a little too wide. So I ended up thinning things out and doing extending things, sanding a lot of the detail off, because he had a lot of that sort of shuttle, I like to call it mattress tile detail. The hell have to be sanded off. Then here, the detail I used, let me put a little light on it, you can see a little better. The detail on here, right here, was used with white gaffer's tape because it had that sort of cloth texture to it, I noticed. So gaffer's tape worked out really well. The interior had to be all carved out because it had an interior, but it was a very small interior, and it wasn't done accurate, just so you could look through the windows and see something, I think. So I ended up redoing the interior completely. You can look through the windows and kind of see it, or you can look at through here, but I know with this fisheye lens, let me see if I can switch it while we're, oh, there we go. Whoop. Yeah, it doesn't want to focus in there, does it? Try again. Boop. Something. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's the interior in there, like in the show. No, don't go blurry on me now, pal. Okay, but fine, your way, fine, let's get away. Then made this base, and I found this, somebody told me about this black paint that was so black, I mean, there's no reflection whatsoever. So I got some of that. You can see a little dust on top. And the black hole lit part was just made from a lamp thing that I found online that I just modified and wrapped, plastic around the edge, and put the name on there. So yeah, it's a neat model. I've always liked Interstellar. It's always been one of my favorite sci-fi, serious sci-fis. And of course, the Hammerhead Corvette. It's a model that I produced for a while. It sold okay, but it's funny. I hate to say this, but of all the models that I've done, this one, when I finished the model, put it on the on the stand, put it on the shelf, it was sort of like, I don't know what happened, but I just think I lost interest in it or something. Yeah, but there was something about it. I was like, it's okay. It looks like the ship. It's accurate. From everything I could get. But I don't know. Sometimes when you see something, right there, you can look at and walk around. It doesn't impress you as much as you would when you see it in the films or TV shows. This is another Frankenstein model. This is a 24-hour build. Again, no sketches, just threw it together. This is made out of, you might get a good laugh out of this. I just made it, I took the Star Destroyer head and put a couple of them on there sideways for the engine. The main body here that you see is this main body here on the Hammerhead the Hammerhead Corvette, and then just threw all sorts of detail and stuff on it. There's little lifeboats there for my blockade runner and a little interior of some kind in there. So yep, 24-hour build. So what else? Okay, down here we're gonna get low. We have the Stiletto. This is another very old model, second oldest model I have. I've not too long ago, about a year or two ago, Did a little bit of a rebuild because it needed it. It was falling apart a bit. Had to redo some of the vacuum form parts that were breaking and bending, dried out. Add a little bit of detail in the back. This was inspired for me. I was inspired by Jason the Star Command, and just sort of a more sleeker version of the Jason the Star Command version. The engine's high, the low wings forward like that. So yeah, that's where that came from. Somebody ended up using it in a video game, I guess, and I didn't know about it. I was working on Starship Troopers, and somebody showed me this picture they saw in a magazine showing this ship. And it's like, what the hell, man? Didn't even ask me. Didn't matter now. I don't care. And then there's this one here, the Scarab. This model here is a pretty neat looking model, silver and white. A friend of mine, Dave Barkovitz, he likes the model but hates it. One thing he hates about it is not symmetrical to have this here, but then have this opening here. He would have been much rather either had two of these or one there, not at all. So I joke with him every now and then about it, But yeah, that's the Scarab. Another just scratch build I did. Skinny model, now that I look at it in the video. Look how skinny that thing is. Of course, the wide angle lens doesn't help. This was a kind of a failure of another kit. This was a Jaguar racer, which I ended up making my, what you saw my police spinner racer out of. I took a lot of the parts from this and reorganized it and made it look more like a traditional spinner. The main body hull on the top and even the wings I used on that spinner. The interior was totally regutted it and did a whole new interior for the Jaguar spinner. What do you call it? The New York spinner, New York police spinner. But yeah, it's a neat looking model. It's just didn't take off, like I thought it would, which is fine. It was actually based on a model that I did a long time ago called the Dove. And when I built this model, the Dove, it was all built around the vacuum form. Sorry, my freaking hand's in the way. It was cameras, from these phones. They're so wide angle lens. Yeah, back to the show. The whole design was dictated by the shape of the vacuum form dome that I made. Or actually, it was a blow form where you cut out an oval, sandwich a piece of plexiglass in between it, and between two pieces of wood, one with a hole cut out, one with a single hole to push air through, heat it up and blow it up. Not very successful. It's really hard to get a decent one of those out of there. But anyway, so with that I came up with this design, so to speak. It didn't have the fins on the back, and it was kind of a bluish color. Ended up renting it to the Spice Girls for Spice Girl videos. They're sort of their Blade Runner looking video they did way back in the day. And I got it back, it was destroyed. The whole window was cracked, right across, the wings were broken off. So I never really did repair it because that window was everything to me, and I knew then I just couldn't do another window like that at the time. So yeah, that's a story. Okay. I'm still on my knees, so I'm going to be walking like I'm on my knees. Because the bottom shelf. Last thing on the shelf, actually. Yeah, this is actually just kind of one of my favorite model designs that I've done. The Phoenix. I'll give you a little light there. This one of my first scratch build kits, actually, that I decided to produce. And Spruverse did just a video on making one not too long ago. It was a challenging. All my resin kits are challenging. Kind of a pain in the ass. They really are. I don't like to brag about it, and I'm not bragging about it, but they just are. To take it to the next level would take too much time, and then it ends up being very lucrative. So, anyways, yeah, this is again the Phoenix. Yeah, the engine. I decided a little trick in there. When I did the original Phoenix, the front end was made out of Land of the Giants hulls, rear hulls that I stuck. And over here we have. Yeah, this is like, it was the Halcyon kit. It was a vinyl kit that somebody did in resin, so that's a resin version of it. I think I'll get rid of it, sell it. This is some Master Replicas, one of their little retro rockets they did. They sent me one for free to do a paint up on it and everything. So this is one of those spray gunner chrome paints on there they did on. So beautiful design, I love it. Up here, just some finished collectibles like the My Favorite Martian. These are things I just bought pre-painted. The Thunder Road is my old kit that I did. Had for a while. So if I can turn it on without breaking it. Hey, there you go. It's on. I made it so my little doors here could open so you could look in there. Although you can look through the windows and see it fine, but the chairs and everything in there and the tank. So yeah, use the shuttle to switch it off and on. Although the shuttle has lost its top wing again, so Somebody sent me this cool little button here. I can't remember who it was. They gave it to me. It's pretty neat. I should wear that actually. If I oh, it's missing the little thing on the back, so I guess I'm not wearing it. Anyways, yeah. So my Jetsons car, which I haven't really finished yet. Sorry, I'm standing up here. Ugh, old. It's hard to take now. This one isn't finished because I have the figures that are going to sit right there. And the figures are actually printed out. You know, they're just sitting there. I just got to paint the damn things, you know. And I don't need to do any crazy paint jobs on them. Just paint them up and stick them on there. I even have Rosie the robot that fits on there. And Uniblab. But I don't think I'll put Uniblab on there. Put him on a little separate base. So, and this is the Cavrite sphere from Monsters in Motion. It has an interior in it and everything. I want to do a larger one, you know. Over here we have from Master Opticals, I'm sorry. The umbrella ship from Disney. I've done quite a bit of work to this, at least to the dish, not this part. The engine and everything was fine, perfect. You know, little drop ship and everything like that. I made this sort of old-fashioned style Mars-looking base. This here came loose, so pardon me. I have to glue that back on. You know, some of the way they thought, the way Mars looked when you look at a telescope back then. You know. Anyways, I ended up putting a new dish on there, or disc, because theirs was made of resin and it was warping. And you can straighten it out, but it would just warp again. You know, so I ended up just making it out of plexiglass. A friend of mine had one of those Cricut cut vinyl cutters, and he cut out of silver these vinyl pie shapes for me, and I just stuck them on there. Also, some of them are coming loose, but I would bring it with me to Wonderfest, but it's very delicate. I don't know how well it would do. Put some light here on it. You know, I'm just a little concerned about it making the trip, because I'd bring it with this here too. I actually already brought this RM2 rocket, also from Disney's Man in Space. It my own take on it. I didn't change much. I just added a little bit more detail on some newer stickers like NASA, you know, and just up the details a little bit. There's a full interior inside it. I don't have it plugged in right now. You know, I'm going to put it down in my office. Some of these models are like that one too. It's going to go down my office when I can get it done. The Flight Navigator drones. This is a real good test of the spray gunner chrome. You know, and as you can see, it's move the light around. You can see it's problem when you look at pictures, even video. It's hard to see the chrome unless you move around it. It really is. And somebody sent me this. I don't remember who it was, but I wasn't able to. He didn't want to sell any of them. You know, the Max. You know. So I might do a bigger Max some year, you know. And the base here is actually I had laying around for decades. It's from the movie Contact. It's from the sphere that Jodie Foster wrote in. You know, one of the things that the shock absorbers. This was on the sphere itself. The shock absorber would come out the top there and go to this big massive framework on the outside of the sphere. So I thought that'd make a neat base for this. So yeah, both versions. These files are free online for these Flight of the Navigator ships, so Max ships. Over here, this is War of the Worlds model I did for Hollywood Collectibles Group. It's about 20 inches across. Unfortunately, the batteries are died, so I can't turn them on for you. I got to switch that out. But it was a real pain to build this model. I should have never took the job, but it came out finally. And yeah, this body I carved out of foam, and it kept snapping and breaking and cracking. I even put fiberglass, but you can't just put fiberglass resin on this piece and expect it to work. Although I did get it to work, you know, because it just breaks anyways. It just keeps breaking. So once I got the final pattern done for them, and painted it up like this. And so this is one of the ones they gave me. Yeah, you know, part of the deal that I get one of their models when it's done. But everything lights up underneath, even the little round things there. I wish I could light it up for you. And now the last model that I've built here, the X-29. I'm sure a lot of you have seen pictures of this model. I call it the X-29 because everything in the 1950s meant X, like X-planes, you know, experimental, with a B-29 window. So I call it the X-29. It seemed like a no-brainer. So I kept with the 1950s motif with the cars in here and everything. And even the way the launch pad is done, kind of simple. Not a lot of pipes going to it. So, yeah, it's probably about a little over 2 foot tall in the case. You know, actually it could use a little cleanup, you know, and whatnot. And of course change the battery on that too, because the battery in this doesn't work either, of course. Actually the switch, I need to put a new switch on. It has a toggle switch and I lost the ring that holds it in place so it falls inside the base. So, okay, so that's all my models are built. Now, we'll jump over here real quick. This is what got me started in model making. Scratch build model making is the Eagles. I was a real fan of Space 1999, and so that's why I have so many damn eagles. I'll turn off some of these lights here if I can. There we go. As you can see, I've got what, 6, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damn eagles. How many eagles do I need? But each one's a little different than the next, obviously. I call the plain eagle down there, just straight. The rescue eagle, which is my favorite paint scheme on it, which I really like, because you can see I got the 22-inch version of that version. This one I got really cheap. It's an all resin version. It didn't have the thruster pack on top, although I did buy a thruster pack that they made, round 2 made for it. Again, just haven't built it yet. Even got the metal engine bells for it, for the thruster pack that goes on the top. But I think I paid $150 for it, and I think it's worth a lot more than that now. The Jerry Anderson stuff. Of course, a lot of these you've seen already. You can buy anywhere. I didn't build any. I do have an Eagle model kit downstairs, and I might do my take on it. Add a lot of gold foil and stuff like that. NASA it out a bit. Add some extra details. Open up the windows down at the bottom, down here, so the men can look down. It would make sense that they would be able to have windows down there so they could see where they're landing. So, and then of course more Jerry Anderson stuff, a UFO, Fireball XL5. That's very old. The X0X, I'm sorry. Yeah, from the movie. I was introduced to here in the States was from the Thunderbirds movie. Before that, I didn't know. And as a kid, when I saw it, I was like, I really liked it. It's really cool. So like playing with toys, but making a movie about playing with toys. So of course the UFO stuff, they're re-releasing all this stuff. I bought these back in like 2004, 2005, I guess. And the big Thunderbird 2, this is part of the big Jerry Anderson collection. It was like 24, 25 inches or something like that. Big resin piece. That's just a toy that I got from the UK of the newer Thunderbirds Are Go film. I always liked that design, how they redid it. Didn't color outside the lines too much, which is nice. And then more Gary Anderson stuff here, like Stingray and, what is it? Supercar. The Rhino, I guess? Or this is the Rhino. Now, this is from the new Captain Scarlet show I came across. Sorry, I'm just late. That's a reflection, these cases. And I really think this is cool as shit. I don't know about you, that Rhino. And they did a pretty decent job for a toy on this. So, and of course, this is a 1/18 scale resin model you can buy on eBay of the, of course, Thunderbird one. A Fab one, not Thunderbird one. I'm thinking Thunderbird because this is a Thunderbird from the movie Thunderbirds, which did terrible. But this one, Sun started this model, and it's very ambitious because the doors open up, the wings pop out, the engine pops out the back here. It's got an engine under the hood, the wheels angle down, like when it's in flight mode. They very ambitious when they made this. I don't think it sold very well for them because the movie didn't do well, which is sad. And this is my favorite. This is also from the same collection who made that big Thunderbird 2, the Jerry Anderson collection. Thunderbird 3 has always been my favorite. I don't know why. So this thing is probably about, looks like about 2 foot tall, this version. So I had to have it, or maybe it came with a case. Yeah, it came with a case, I'm sorry. And that's also from the new Thunderbird show, just a toy version of it, that I came across. So down here, we'll get down, now we're getting down here. Got some 1960s stuff. I gotta move something here real quick, sorry. This is in the way. I'll just put it there for now. This was a toy. It wasn't on Major. I was really, when I was a kid, I had a lot of Major Mason stuff, but not as much as my friend Rob Ryder. He's definitely beat me, but he had this and he was going to sell it, and so he sold it to me because I thought, well, that's awesome. Kind of a Lem-like thing from the 60s. Again, this wasn't a Major Mason, but there are people that do things for Major Mason with that same design. I have the landing gear in so it would fit on the shelf. The landing gear actually pop out a little bit like the Lem. And Rob gave me these for, I think, Christmas or my birthday. I'm sorry, I can't remember, Rob. So that's a hell of a gift, I tell you, because these things are not cheap anymore. So he knows I'm very appreciative of these. And he also got me a couple of these guys too, these 2001, these 1/12 scale guys here. So that was nice of him to do that too. Another time, not at the same time. And I got these 1/12 scale guys here. I have some 1/6 scale ones, expensive as shit, when I could afford it downstairs, of these same two astronauts. Although I didn't have the moon suit, I wish I would have got the 1/6 scale moon suit, but it's just, they priced me out of range. I mean, it's ridiculous how much they want for that. It's like $400+. But I really wish I could have got that 1/6 scale version of that. And of course, the yellow suit, with his face in it. And the other ones in the back that don't have any faces in it. Well, those ones in the back are a little smaller, I guess. They're not 1/12. Or maybe these aren't 1/12. Maybe they're like 1/10 or something. I think those might be 1/12. And of course, the little, obviously like 2001, it kind of shaped my destiny, what I'd be doing in life. So, obviously I have a lot of things. That and Space 1999, because Space 1999, when it came out, was kind of like the first season was like 2001: A Space Odyssey in the way it was shot, you know, the visuals of it and everything. I don't count season 2 because that season was, for me, Space 1999 season 2 sucked. It just sucked balls. Pardon my French. And of course, there's a pre-built moon bus. I do have a Monsters in Motion moon bus that's about 19, 20 inches long. That I need to build that damn thing. It's a beautiful model that they did. Probably one of the better ones. Monsters in Motion's always been good at making resin kits, but that was one of the really better ones. Really better ones, yeah. A little van that I found, Pan Am. I thought, no, let's stick it here. That's kind of fun. Down here, the Dave Barkovitz, a friend of mine, used to have his own model company. Sad, I'm sorry, Dave, but I forgot the name of it. And this was his Johnny Quest model that he did, the spider and the little landscape, you know. So I thought that was quite cool. And just little doodads here. Down here you have the Monsters in Motion Earth versus the Flying Saucers model, a little base that comes on. And then here, oh, you got again, more broken models. The space pod, the landing gear's broken off. I'll be darned. I wonder when that happened. So yeah, that's pretty much my collection. Just some collectibles. Oh, over here real quick, I'll show you. Let me turn the lights back on here so you can see. Another light to turn on here. Now these are almost all collectibles. They're all collectibles. Nothing was built here. I got this Code 3 put out these line of die-cast models from Star Wars. And the Slave one was one of them. You know, it's a light die-cast pre-painted. So I was lucky enough to get Jeremy Bullock's name. He autographed it for me there. Jeremy Bullock, as a lot of you may or may not know, played Boba Fett in the original series. And before they got Tam Morrison to kind of take over. And over here I got Billy, damn light. Of course there's a reflection so you can't see. Oh, let's try again. Let's try this direction. Nope, sorry, not going to work. Anyways, that's Billy D. Williams. Got him to autograph that side. And the only reason why I had him sign is because, well, I didn't have anything else for him to sign at the time. He was in an episode of Robot Chicken where he did his Lando voice, and he saw the ship, and he said, I like the ship, not too pleased with the name or something like that. Don't care much for the name, I think is what he said. So, because it's Slave 1, you know, that was the joke. Yeah. I don't think that joke would work today, not in this climate. This little R2 unit, I take it back, there's one last model. Back when I first started getting into scratch building, Star Wars came out. I built this, oh Lord, well, you know, back then, 77, 78. And this little R2 unit was one of the first things I scratch built. It looks really crude because I sold it to somebody. Just a couple of years back, somebody, whoever had it, wanted to know if I wanted to buy it back from him. I said, well, sure. But I ended up not buying it back, but he ended up sending it to me anyways to get back to me for free. That was a little broken, so I decided to do not upgrade it because I got a nice, I got the Hot Toys R2 downstairs. I decided to leave him as he was. Just kind of glue them back together. There are some little doodads missing, like right there. I don't remember what I used. What do you? It was a leg egg I used for his head, you know. So, yeah, that was one of the first things that I made money with, you know. That was him. I made a little TIE fighter, the same way, a little Darth Vader TIE fighter that I sold. You know, it was a hobby shop at a plaza called Crossroads in St. Pete. I can't remember the name of it now, but I met a lot of friends through that place. So, and a lot of these are just collectibles. As a birthday present that I think, again, my memory, Annie's daughter, my stepdaughter, Sam, gave me this for Christmas. That was nice of her. I thought it was pretty cool. Then we get into the real space stuff. Yes, I'm into real space. Just don't have a lot of it. Some of these nice figures that they came out with, like Neil Armstrong and the last guy to walk on space, Gene Searles. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm reading it. Gene Searles. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I forgot. Everybody knows Armstrong. And then there's some lanyards and things when we went to Kennedy Space Center. We got to actually go inside the EVA building. Is that what it's called, the EVA building? No. The VAB building, I'm sorry. I'm not good at it. You know, Annie and I went for our honeymoon. We ended up going to Kennedy Space Center. Most people go to Bora Bora. We went to Kennedy Space Center. And it was kind of neat going inside that building because it still doesn't look big until you walk in through that door. Because there's nothing around it that you can relate to scale. It's so big and just a parking lot. But when you walk in through those doors, it's like, oh, colorful metaphor, So, yeah, that was great. This is, I think this might have been the Danbury Mint one. And I did a little bit extra work to the lem, the chrome on the body and stuff like that. Chrome foil. Yeah, that there was the Bandai one. Sorry, that one there. And then this 1/72nd scale. Get this light out of the way. 72nd scale Saturn, which, oh man, broken wing. There's a lanyard laying in there. I have to find out about that. Yeah, so yeah, that's my collection. Oh yeah, sorry. It's not my collection. Like I said, this is all stuff that I bought pre-made. This Nebuchadnezzar is what you get when you buy the Japanese box set of The Matrix. What do we get? Something kind of like this, a bust. That's, of course, a Terminator. But when you buy the box set of Terminator, The Matrix, here you get a bust of Keanu Reeves. So it was a no-brainer which one I wanted more. And I didn't have to do anything to it. I didn't weather it or anything. That's the way it comes. And it's the first version, Nebuchadnezzar. It's not like from the second one where they added a lot more detail to it and everything. Quantum mechanics, they're small but nice, Firefly. Also a couple more quantum mechanics like his gun. This stuff was, I guess maybe didn't sell very well because I got it for a song. That and the mule from the movie. These are just toys that you can buy. Like, this is one of the later ones, the Ahsoka one, which they did a great job. I was quite surprised for a toy. I mean, it was, and all the parts were proportioned right. Paint job, the detail is pretty great. Well, they had the real one to use. That's my wife's titanium shuttle. She built that. Kind of a snap fit, but she threw some paint and weathering on it. That's another one of those toys. I'm probably going to sell that for just get rid of, the Force Awakens TIE Fighter, which I always liked. I thought it was a really cool version of a TIE Fighter, Arc Fighter thing. There's a few of those Star Trek. Yeah, I don't have much in the way of Star Trek, So yeah, that's it. That's the room. That's all the stuff. All my crap. Now downstairs, I got a bunch of action figures in the theater room. Felt it seemed appropriate to put them there. Nothing much in the shop except what I'm building. And then, of course, what you saw in the living room and what you saw in here. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough. And I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.